Paul, I want to ask you about the Bengals.
Sure.
You said the line has changed just in what, the last 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, it opened at 2.5, and it's up to 3.5 now, which once it gets over that field goal number, the 3 and 7, 3, 6, and 7 are the key numbers in football. For those of you that might be new to betting, 3, 6, and 7 happen almost a third of the time. Those are the numbers that you get over in football. So that's where it opened. The vast majority of the bets right now and the money is all on the Bengals. I think the Bengals are getting all of the attention because of the prevailing public sentiment that the Browns stink and the Bengals are good, which I do believe the Browns stink and I do believe the Bengals are good.
I just can't believe you think the Browns stink, but okay.
I think they stink relative to what we're seeing right now, and there's the Bengals Joe Burrow hasn't beaten the Browns. Now, granted, they rested their starters last year, so in the second game they rested their starters. But this is a hill that Joe has to climb. He's got to beat the Browns at some point. You can't keep going winless against a team in your own division, especially a team like the Browns that doesn't have it all going together. They're very injured. But and this is another thing I want to say real quick before we get in too much into the betting thing, is you're starting to see this trending theme around everybody saying, well, the Bengals have played all these backup quarterbacks. All these teams have been – everybody's hurt. It's the NFL. Everybody has injuries. Everybody's hurt. You play the teams that are in front of you. I kind of get sick and tired of hearing all the time about all these players that are hurt on the other team. Or it's just, the Falcons having their secondary hurt as badly as they did last week. And you get to this point in the season where it just becomes a war of attrition, and you just have to play the guys that are in front of you.
Okay. And you're right. There's no doubt there are a lot of guys that get hurt. It's a violent game played by big, strong, fast men. They hit one another with all full force, no doubt. But, dude, you can't dispel the backup quarterback thing. I mean, how many good quarterbacks in the NFL this season have been hurt for an extended period of time? Starting quarterbacks. The three biggest ones, or the two biggest ones, of teams that have had good years so far this year, the Bengals played both of them.
Yeah.
Cowboys and the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Since Wilson has come back, Jets haven't lost, right?
Cooper Rush played well, though.
Cooper Rush played well, but I mean, look, they played some teams with backup guys, and, that's just a fact. It's part of the game. You're right. You can make the argument that maybe there was some big defensive player that didn't play against somebody else, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the quarterback position is the most important position on the field, and the Bengals have been fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna discount that, but I do sometimes get tired in the NFL of always having to hear about this team played this team and they got lucky because so-and-so was hurt. And it's like, I feel like every time you watch an NFL game, it's just the injury bug. It's some sort of a different title for a graphic to show look at the guys that are hurt for the Bengals. And I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is hurt. Obviously the Bengals don't have their most important players out like some of these teams have, but I don't know. I look at this Browns team on Monday, and this is a huge game for both teams because for the Bengals, like we talked about yesterday, to get 2 games over 500 is such a big deal. You put the Browns out of it with a Bengals win over the Browns on Monday night. You can really put a nail in the coffin on the Browns, and the Browns aren't a pushover. They run the ball really well, but the other thing that you mentioned yesterday, Thom, they run the ball well. When they run it, they got to run the ball to run it well.
Well, I mean, look, that's all the talk shows are going off about and have for quite some time about the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski. We had Brian Billick on the show on Monday. He called the game, filling in as a radio analyst on the Baltimore broadcast, but he still follows the NFL. He's a big Stefanski guy. But look, I go back to this whole thing when Stefanski was in Minnesota. And I was doing a lot of Vikings games back in those days. A lot. Mike Zimmer was the head coach, okay? Gary Kubiak was brought in, offensive genius, great coach with Denver, all that kind of thing. I think he won a Super Bowl with Denver. Didn't Kubiak win as a head coach, right?
I think so.
I think he did. Anyway, they brought him in to oversee the offense, and Stefanski was put in as offensive coordinator, first-year play caller, all that kind of thing. And so what happened in subsequent years, before Stefanski became a head coach in Cleveland, was, they got Dalvin Cook. Now, he was in and out of the lineup, hurt a little bit, but a great back when healthy. And they became pass-happy with Kirk Cousins once they brought him in as a free agent. And it used to make Zimmer crazy. We'd be sitting in meetings with him, and he's like, I've told these guys we have got to start running the ball. Well, now fast forward, Stefanski is in Cleveland. I believe he's a play caller for the Browns.
Yeah,
and all they do is throw it with a backup quarterback, who's not a bad quarterback. I don't think Brissett's a bad player. In fact, I think he's probably one of the 3 or 4 best backup quarterbacks in the league. I mean, look, if anything, God forbid, ever happened to Burrow, who would you rather have playing? Jacoby Brissett or Brandon Allen?
Brissett.
Not even close.
Yeah, that's not even a question.
So this guy's not a bad quarterback. And he was 21 of 27 in the game last week. But the knock on them is they don't run it. And if they don't run it 30 to 35 times this week, I will be shocked.
They have to. And the thing the Browns know is they have to win this game. The Browns have to win this game against the Bengals on Monday to stay afloat. If they want to give Deshaun Watson a chance to have any kind of an impact on this season when he comes back in a few weeks, they have to win this game. There's no two ways about it. You can't come back after week 8 of the NFL season just having 2 wins on the year. You got to win this game against the Bengals at home on Monday Night Football against a Bengals team that has struggled to beat you in the past. You got to win this game if you're Cleveland. And do they have the play calling and the horses to do it? I guess that's what we got to see. Vegas seems to think it's going to be a close game, 3.5 point spread, depending on where you're looking. And I thought it'd be a little higher, but I think the 3, once you get over that field goal, I think that makes sense. Haven't decided what I'm going to do on it yet because I was looking at the weather last night.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on.
It's supposed to be a pretty ugly game.
Wait a minute.
What?
Casey, am I missing something, or have we heard Paul say for the last now 3 days, including this morning already, and our show's not even 25 minutes young, has he not said multiple times the Browns stink?
They stink. Well, I meant...
And you mean to tell me you're wrestling around with 3 or 3.5 points, you're not sure what you're going to do if you
or taking the
claim
total.
One team stinks?
Or taking the total. Yeah, or taking the total. The Bengals were 5-0 to the under to start the year. Now they've gone over in their last 2 games. Supposed to be a miserable weather game on Monday. I'm looking at the total, looking at the spread. I really like it at 3.
What is the total?
What is the total, Casey?
Yeah, I got it.
It's moved around a little bit. 47? 40, am I reading that right? 47? 47. It's a lot of points.
It is? I mean, is that a high number for the NFL for us who
are
completely novices to the gambling world?
No, it's not. It's on. I guess it's on a little bit on the higher side, but it's not a lot. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a 27-20 is a push. I mean, that's a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
And especially if one team wants to, we're thinking one team really wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
So you're chewing up clock. If it's an effective run game, you're chewing up clock. You're keeping the other offense off the field. Our buddy Zim Hude, I mean, the more you listen to this guy, he really knows his stuff. And I thought he made a great point yesterday about other teams being scared of the Bengals and should be more scared of the Bengals, and the Bengals are scared. Nobody's scared, but you know what I'm saying, concerned. Then the Bengals would be about other teams, just based on the star power of that team. I mean, when you really, we're like the forest for the trees on this thing with the Bengals, right? They stunk it up first couple of weeks. Burrow's sacked 13 times. Offensive line starting to play a lot better. They've got stars on that offensive line who are starting to come together. The skill positions are just unbelievable. Why wouldn't you be worried about playing the Cincinnati Bengals if they can keep it rolling here on offense?
Yeah, I mean, they are scary. Straight up. And I wanted to point out a few different things about this game in particular. Denzel Ward is in concussion protocol. He might not play Monday, which would be huge for Jamar Chase. And Wyatt Teller, their starting guard, an all-pro guard, he's questionable. I don't know.
And they have a linebacker that's out for the year.
Yeah.
They just announced that yesterday. Phillips.
Yeah.
Done for the year. Torn pec.
So I know we talked about how easy these games have been for the Bengals just due to injuries or quarterback play, yada, yada. This is turning into one of those situations where if Denzel Ward and Wyatt Teller don't play this game, they've for sure got to win this game. Those two are all-pro players on the Browns team, and Jamar Chase should have a field day, and we should be able to stop the run without one of their all-pro guards. Something I found a little interesting as well, Jay Tufele, the defensive tackle that we picked up right after cut days, right after preseason, he has been grading out really well. He was one of the best defenders last week. One of the best. Out of everyone in the whole league. Aaron Donald, all those other guys, he graded higher than those guys. And I think that says something that we might have a gem and a guy who might be able to fill in the role that DJ Reader left behind. Let's just look at the Falcons game for an example, right? I just want to briefly go over the numbers with you. The Atlanta rushing attack, which was the best.
Top three in the league.
Top three in the league, only managed 107 yards. Their receiving was only 124. Jay Tufele, not only did he stop the run, he also got pressure. He was getting people in the backfield. He was all over the place. Now, I'm not saying he's a DJ Reader, but with him playing as well as he did against Atlanta, who has been running the ball really well, gives me more confidence that he's going to be a bigger factor, considering how there's not much tape on him, that not a lot of people are going to be focused in on that. They're going to be focused in on DJ Reader not playing. And they're going to think that the middle of the field is going to be wide open against the Bengals when that might not be the case. So I feel really confident in this game after going back yesterday and kind of doing some research on this game. Like, they've got some injuries. They've got the game plan is probably to run the ball on us. That's what they do against us a lot. Play action after that. And I just don't think they're going to be able to do that with Jay Tufele.